Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and today we're continuing our series here in August 2021, talking about all my favorite consoles and software for folks running lights, and why I like them, and what my best programming shortcuts are, what new features look like, etc. Okay. And we've hit our last console here, which is DMXis. So ENTTEC's DMXis, I'll pull it up here for those who aren't familiar, is an entry-level lighting console, which is really awesome. It comes in, you buy it, you get this box when you buy it. It's around $300 US, and this box is a USB interface that gives you DMX output, so you just plug it in, it works. The box also contains your license key to unlock the software. So you can download the software for free. You can demo it, but you can't get DMX output unless the box is plugged in. The box also features a foot pedal, just for a sustain pedal type 1/4-inch foot pedal that you can use to make your scenes go forward. And DMXis, for a long time, since someone, actually a student, believe it or not, introduced DMXis to me back in 2014 or something like that. And I quickly fell in love with it, quickly started using it. It's been a great piece of software, and it is a great piece of software. But here in 2021, I got to give you an update on DMXis. We've got to figure out what to do next. So a few years ago, following the saga and just in the spirit of full disclosure, because, ultimately, before I get to what happened a few years ago, ultimately, when I recommend a console or a software to someone, and this is really important to me, when I recommend something to someone, I need to make sure, especially on the software side where it's really tough, that whatever I recommend is going to be a viable option for you for years to come, okay? I want this thing to be relevant, to work for years to come, meaning that, over time, there are some general updates to, improve things and mostly keep things running bug-free, because you've got, a piece of software here that runs lighting, and it's on a computer. It's on a Mac or PC, in the case of DMXis. And when you have the Mac or PC, sure, nothing changes about the software DMXis, but there's always system updates coming in the Mac or PC, and as we saw a few years ago, I think it affected DMXis as it's affected others. Sometimes an update comes out, whether Mac or Windows. I was thinking of a Windows one from a few years ago that just wipes out entire pieces of software and they can't work. Okay. And so we want to see some updates. We want to see some chatter from whoever's developing it over time to ensure that it continues to be a viable option. So here's the situation with DMXis today. I've talked to some contacts because I was looking the other day for DMXis, talking to a customer about it, and I noticed it's out of stock. And it's out of stock everywhere online, Sweetwater, all the places, right? It's out of stock. So I reached out to my contacts at ENTTEC and I just said, hey, is it going to come back in stock? Okay. And, obviously I've got folks inside ENTTEC, and this isn't all totally public knowledge, though I'm sharing it here. I basically was told, it may not come back into stock again, okay, at this point, because a few years ago, a couple things happened, okay? So DMXis, as clear as we can make this, is a product sold by ENTTEC, okay? ENTTEC makes the box, they sell the product, but the developer is a guy, a company called DB Audio, where a guy named Dave Brown, he's in Scotland, I believe. And he's developed ShowBuddy, which is a program that folks used to use and still use with DMXis, a very simple backing track program to put DMXis cues, to put the different presets in your different places for songs. It works really well for people that need simple stuff. And a few years ago, he came out with basically a new version of DMXis. He actually at first called it DMXis Platinum, but DMXis, the name, I believe, belongs to ENTTEC, and so he then renamed it to ShowBuddy Active. Okay, and it's basically an update to DMXis. Now, this came out in 2008, a few years ago, like I mentioned. And some point after that, maybe it was 2019, I forget when it came out, ENTTEC came out with their own Emu, which is their update to DMXis. Okay, so now both sides have come up with their own update. Okay, and so let's talk about these two. Okay, so today we're seeing that DMXis, unfortunately, the interface isn't available to buy anymore. That being said, you may be able to find one on the used market. And it's a great piece of software. Like if you have a computer, you run it, you don't update that computer forever, you'll be fine. I still stand behind it 100%. I know though I don't sell DMXs directly, I've probably been responsible for a lot of sales of DMXs over the years. And a lot of people have reached out and told me how much I've helped them. And that's awesome. And I truly believe in DMXs, but there's some things about it that honestly, I understand why they're moving on, right? Like this window, if you have a higher resolution, you can't expand or contract the window. So if you have a really high def monitor, the window gets like super tiny and you can't make it any bigger. And that doesn't scale at all. And there's some other things that are just kind of clunky about it in today's modern lighting world. But again, it's still such a great pick because if you're like new to lighting, you've never done any lighting before, you can get up to speed real quick. It works the same way audio controllers work, and so it's a really familiar workflow. Okay, so that's why we like DMXis so much, but unfortunately, it needs a major overhaul just in the look and feel. The way that it deals with fixtures that have multiple lenses or multiple parts is not great, and that's common with a lot of lighting controllers that have been around for a while. And so rather than just overhaul it, both sides decided to do their own things. We've got ShowBuddy Active from DB AudioWare, and we've got Emu from ENTTEC. And when ShowBuddy Active first came out, I did some videos on it. We'll share one here, okay? And when it first came out, I looked at it and I reviewed it with some hesitancy, okay? And here's why, okay? ShowBuddy Active hasn't seen a lot of updates. It's been around since 2018. I just checked the version, and the version I have installed here is the same version that they have for demo download on their site here. And truth be told, it's pretty much the original version with a couple bug fixes and a couple minor adds to it, which frustrates me. Because ultimately, if I'm going to recommend something, I want it to continue to be good. Not only that, but I've taught ShowBuddy Active to some folks. I've used it. I've worked with it extensively. And I feel that this particular piece of software, they've raised the amount of complexity a good bit to the point where for somebody who's just starting with lighting, I really don't like to recommend it because now there's a significantly higher learning curve. Can you do some cool stuff? Yeah. Are a lot of users beginning to run lights who want to run a show from stage going to use them? No. And also there's no simple foot pedal control. I believe you can use a MIDI foot pedal, but still it doesn't have all the charm that DMXis had, where it's just so simple to do, but can also do some really great stuff. I don't think it doesn't have the VST plugin to work with programs like Ableton Live. And so it's just kind of like, it's like they took DMXis and there was a product called D Pro, it's still technically around, which was kind of like a mid-level but professional style lighting console per se. And they kind of mashed the two together and got something that I don't feel is really ideal for either type of person, okay? So then there's Emu, okay? Emu is currently in beta from ENTTEC. So we have right here, and I've reached out to ENTTEC, and I will add to this video if I do get any kind of response there. But Emu basically, gives you a lot of the same function as DMXis. I'll pull it up here in a second. There's some definite improvements. There's the VST plugin for digital audio workstations like Ableton. And, they've done a good job improving it. But here is my caveat with Emu, okay? Is right now, Emu is free to use for a limited time, okay? And as of the recording of this video, I can't get a firm answer as to what the cost is going to be when it does come out. All right, David, let me interrupt you for a second here. Oh man, I feel like the Kanye West Taylor Swift thing from years ago, right? But anyways, I've reached out to the folks at ENTTEC, had some really great conversations, and I've got some solutions about Emu. So basically where I was going and what I'm about to say next in the previous clip that I'm now pulling out because I've got newer information is that basically with Emu, it's been in beta, it's free to use. You just use an ENTTEC USB device or a ArtNet or SACN device, and that's networked DMX, and you're able to use Emu for free right now, with the knowledge that at some point it's going to become a paid program, okay? And so that's the part that really got me hung up, that I really had an issue with, is I can't recommend to you, the person running lights for your band, your church, as a DJ, whatever, I can't recommend to you a piece of software that I know is free right now, but is going to have some unspecified price in the future, right? Like, that's completely unfair, because you get to programming, you build out a show and it's great, and then maybe they launch the pricing and it's not reasonable for you. Okay, so I've been talking to the folks at ENTTEC and I got some really good information, and I want to tell you something that I'm also working on through Learn Stage Lighting Gear. So the info that I got from ENTTEC is that while Emu, when you look at it inside the software, it looks like a subscription-based software, and they do plan to offer it as a subscription. They also plan to offer it as a one-time purchase, okay? So just the same as DMXis, the reason why all of this madness has happened is the chip shortage. You're probably familiar with this. Has made it so that they can't keep DMXis in stock. They can't get the chips. They're too expensive, etc. So they're moving ahead and creating the new Emu box, okay? So the new Emu box is not finalized yet, and it's not going to be out till next year, okay? Because they got to get it right, and then they got to figure out the pricing, which the pricing on these components just continues to change constantly, and so they're trying to pin down the right price, right? I mean, they could charge $1,000 for it, but that wouldn't be fair. And so they're pinning down the price on it. And the Emu box will be a lot like the DMXis box, right? Where just like this DMXis box, you buy the box, it licenses your software, no recurring payment. They are going to offer it again on recurring payment on a subscription. And they said it's going to be in line with other competitors in the lighting market, which I look at SoundSwitch or Light Key, because those are really the only two that I know of that operate that way at this time. Okay, so regardless, I said to them, okay, we need to figure this out for the Learn Stage Lighting people. I'm all about recommending this, but we need to figure this out. So we're putting together either ENTTEC US or myself the ability to do a trade-in. So if you're in the US, basically, and you can reach out to me through Learn Stage Lighting Gear if you'd like more information, we're basically offering a program where if you buy a DMX USB Pro from ENTTEC, you can use it with Emu. When the time comes that Emu transitions to a paid product, okay, you can either continue with the box you have and use that with the software, or you can send that box back and get a credit so that towards your purchase of your Emu box. So you'd buy the Emu box, and then we'd take off basically what you paid for the DMX USB Pro, which you send back. Okay, so basically we're doing a trade-in, like a buyback program, to cover the time where, just because of the global issues we're having, the chip shortage, they would love to have the Emu box out today, but they can't. Okay, so if you are interested in this, and I'll hop back to the video and talk more about Emu in a second, but if you are interested, just go to learnstagelighting.com/gear. It's linked below. You'll shoot us an email through this form that you fill out. Just write that you're interested in Emu, and we'll let you know about how we figured out that program, because I'm still working on it as I record this video. Okay, we'll keep you up to date so that you're able to get the software to be able to run lights for your band, for your church, whatever, from stage, be able to use this new program, and then when it does turn into a paid program, have the option to trade in your box, your USB box, for a new one. okay, for the official Emu one that doesn't have a subscription on the software. Now, back to me, David. Okay. So when it comes to Emu, let's pull it up here. Great piece of software, really cool. They've added some great stuff. It's still, while it looks like a electronic music, synthesizer, it still works really the same as before. So the DMXis looks like an analog audio console for musicians. This kind of looks like an electronic synthesizer for electronic musicians. But it does some nice things in the way that it lays out different lights, the way that you can create groups of lights now and select and deselect those at will. And it has the same basic oscillator and sound tracker, but they've gone ahead and they've added a lot of great features to tweak that in better, to get better, more meaningful control of your different lights. They've got a new fixture library where there's a lot more fixtures in there. Okay, and so like for example, you can see here they're using an external fixture library, so there's so many brands and so much stuff. Like if I just go to Chauvet DJ, I'm just going to pick something that I know how to control. So let's just do a Core Bar 4, which is like the 4 bars that I used to recommend. And let's also bring in a color band RGB just in a simple 3-channel. And we'll patch that. Patch is a lot better. Things work really well. And now I've got those fixtures here. And you can see we're able to control all these channels very similar to the way DMXis worked. A little more touchscreen friendly, which is great. I say that and then I can't grab it. That's how that works, right? Maybe not. It was more touchscreen friendly, but it generally works well. Does what it needs to. There are programs and banks, very similar to before. It allows you to use the DMXis box or another DMX output device, or you can use ArtNet over a network. And so there's a lot of good stuff in here. But my big hang up right now, just to share totally open and honest with you guys, is, okay, I like Emu. I like where it's going. It's getting to a point as a beta software where it is pretty stable and really usable. Okay, it's not all the way there yet, but it's pretty close. Okay. But my biggest hang up again right now is just not knowing the future of it, right? Not knowing how it will work in the future. So you can use, ArtNet interfaces. You can use the DMX USB Pro interface, which is probably the easiest. They've got some tutorials. I've used it. It generally works well. But again, my big hang up here is what's the future. So I'm going to pop in here and interrupt myself again. So if you're interested, if you're like, okay, I want to get into Emu, interested in that possible DMX USB or DMX adapter, buyback, trade-in, whatever program, go to learnstagelighting.com/gear, check that out, and check out here my guide to begin with lighting. If you're brand new to lighting, head over to learnstagelighting.com, grab my guide. It's going to help you begin with lighting in your particular type of lighting. And then hop back here on the channel for our next video. I can't wait to talk to you about making your lighting better once again so you have amazing events. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks.